Today is February 28th, 2017, and Sascha is here, Los Angeles, California. Sascha was born in Munich in 1999. How he got here? Well, here's the story. Before the discovery of America, Sascha's ancestors lived in Europe. In the 19th century, they lived in England, France, and Russia. The Veresov family in Petersburg, Russia, Schutt and Fitzherbert families in England, Kolesnikov family in Moscow, Russia, Tibbets and Harris families in France, Kupin and Osadchenko families in Odessa, Ukraine. In the 20th century, the Tibbets family migrated to Quebec, Canada, the Schutt family to California, and the Fitzherbert family to New England, USA. The Russian families stayed in Russia and survived both World War I and World War II. In the 21st century, Sascha's relatives live in Europe and the US. The Tibbets and the Fitzherbert family live in Texas and San Francisco. The Schutt family in Alaska and California, the Veresov family in St. Petersburg and Kolesnikov family in Moscow, Kupin and Osadchenko family in Odessa, and Sascha's grandparents in Munich, Germany. The St. Petersburg story. Alexei Veresov was a rich man and a hero in World War I. He married Katya Popova from an aristocrat family, and they had 2 children, Tonya and Sascha's great-grandfather Boris Veresov. Boris was born in 1911, and after the Revolution and Civil War, he worked for the Russian Railroad. He was married to Tamara and had a son, Joe. Then World War II started. During the 900-day siege of St. Petersburg, he was a commander of a battalion defending the city. In 1942, his wife died, giving birth of his daughter Nina. Boris got shot through his lungs and was hospitalized. After the war, doctors ordered him to move to better weather, and so he moved with his kids to Odessa, near the Black Sea, and became director of a high school. The Veresov family from St. Petersburg and the Kolesnikov family from Moscow crossed roads after the Second World War in Odessa, where Sascha's grandma Natalia was born. The Moscow story. Vidar Kolesnikov and Yevdokia Alexeyeva were farmers in Smolensk, near Moscow. They had 6 kids. Sascha's great-grandmother, Maria Kolesnikova, was born in 1928. During World War II, her family was forced to work in a concentration camp in Germany. Fortunately, she had learned German in school, so a mother of a German officer used her as a housekeeper. After the war, she returned by herself back to Russia and realized that the KGB was after her. Stalin had issued an order treating all returning prisoners as traitors. She jumped on the first train and escaped to Odessa. On her first evening in Odessa, she was sitting in a park alone without money or documents when Boris Veresov, who had just recently moved to Odessa from St. Petersburg, stopped next to the beautiful young Maria. They got married and in 1951 had daughter Natalia, Sascha's grandma. Natalia was a daily newspaper journalist for over 10 years. The Kupin family escaped to Odessa after Revolution and Civil War in Russia. In Odessa, Kupins met Osadchenko family, and after the Second World War, Sascha's grandpa Boris was born. The Odessa story. Alexei and Maria Osadchenko were farmers. They survived World War I and Golodomor, dictator Stalin-made famine. in the 1930s by escaping to Odessa. Their daughter Nina was Sascha's great-grandmother. She got married to Gregory Kupin from the Jewish family of Avram and Maria Kupin. Greg worked for the railroad company. During World War II, a bomb exploded near Greg, and he was handicapped for the rest of his life. They had 3 sons, Alec, Pavel, and Boris, and a daughter, Tatiana. Sascha's grandpa Boris was born in 1949 and finished music university as a classic double bass player. In 1970, he was on a TV comedy show and in acting school, where he met his wife, Natalia Verasova. In 1972, they gave birth to Alexei Kupin, Sascha's dad, and later, in 1982, to Sascha's aunt, Ksenia Kupin. Boris Kupin and Natalia Verasova met in 1971 in acting school in Odessa. Coincidentally, it was just across the Black Sea from Tim and Carol, who met in Istanbul at the same time. After the Vietnam War, the Shute family moved to Anchorage, Alaska. The Tibbets family to California. In 1971, hippies Tim and Carol decided to travel and live in Turkey. The California story. The family of John Knox Tibbets and Edith Vinton Harris came from France. They were living in Quebec, Canada, and had 4 children: George, Mary, William, and Arthur Tibbets, Sascha's great-grandfather, who moved to England and married Marjorie Fitzherbert. Marjorie had 2 siblings, and her parents came to Boston from England. After World War II, Arthur and Marjorie moved to San Francisco. They had 3 sons, John, Ned, Tim, and a daughter, Fleur. Sascha's grandpa Tim was born in 1949. His brother John served in the Vietnam War, but Tim joined the hippie movement. In 1970, he went to live in Turkey. In Istanbul, he met Carol Shute, and they got married. In 1972, they returned to the U.S. and gave birth to Rachel Tibbets, Sascha's mother. And 2 years later, in 1974, to Sascha's aunt, Erin Elizabeth Tibbets. The Tibbets and Fitzherbert family now live in San Francisco. Sascha's grandfather Tim recently moved to Texas, where Sascha's aunt Liz lives. Sascha lives in San Diego with his sister Julia and his mother Rachel Tibbets. The Alaska story. The Shute family moved from England directly to California, and Carl Shute, Sascha's great-grandpa, was born in Southern California. There's a big mystery around his decision to move to Alaska. In Anchorage, he met his future wife Lois, who grew up on a farm in Idaho and moved to Alaska. They had 3 children, Carol, Eileen, and Brian. Carol Shute is Sascha's grandmother. She joined the hippie movement and in 1970 went to explore the world. She returned in 1972 with her husband Tim Tibbets, who she married in Istanbul. In 1972, she gave birth to Rachel Tibbets, Sascha's mother, and 2 years later in 1974 to Sascha's aunt Liz Tibbets. They then moved to California. After the millennium, Carol moved to Canada and currently lives in British Columbia. The Shute family still lives in Alaska and his grandmother Carol in Vancouver, Canada. Rachel Tibbets was born in 1972 in Anchorage, Alaska, and Alexei in Odessa, USSR. They met at the University of Munich in 1993 and gave birth to Julia in 1996 and Sascha in 1999. The German story. In 1990, Boris Kupin's family moved from Odessa to Nuremberg, Germany. His son, Alexei Kupin, went to the University of Munich in 1992. At his birthday party in 1993, Alexei met American exchange student Rachel Tibbets. They got married in Munich in 1994. Julia Kupin was born in Munich in 1996, and the family moved to Santa Barbara for Rachel to complete her graduation from University of Santa Barbara. They returned to Munich, and Alexander Kupin, Sascha, was born in 1999. After Alexei's graduation from LMU in 2000, the family moved back to California. Currently, the Kupin family, grandparents Boris and Natalia, live in Munich. Sascha's aunt Sanya, who also lives there, has 2 kids, Anna and Nikolai. Sascha and Julia go visit them in the summertime every year. You just heard the story of Sascha Kupin, who was born in Munich in 1999 and now celebrates his 18th birthday in Los Angeles, California. And here's the love map, which gives credit to all of those who made love that resulted in the life of Sascha Kupin, who today celebrates his 18th birthday. Happy birthday, Sascha. We love you so much.
Close your eyes, have no fear. The monster's gone, he's on the run, and your daddy's here. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Before you go to sleep, say a little prayer. Every day, in every way, it's getting better and better. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Sailing away, I can hardly wait to see you come of age. But I guess we'll both just have to be patient, 'cause it's a long way to go, a hard road to hoe. Yes, it's a long way to go, but in the meantime, before you cross the street, take my hand. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boy. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boy. Before you go to sleep, say a little prayer. Every day, in every way, it's getting better and better. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boy. Somewhere down the road, you're gonna find a place. It seems so far, but it never is. And you won't need to stay, but you might lose your strength on the way. Sometimes you may feel you're the only one, 'cause all the things you thought were safe, ooh, now they're gone. But you won't be alone, 'cause I'll be here She